You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feast and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feast, and today is the final battle of Game Wars. WWF No Mercy versus WWE Smackdown. Here comes the pain. Who is going to take it all and be crowned the winner of the first ever Game Wars? The vote is in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. We also discuss Cyberpunk 2077, The Sims, GoldenEye, and more.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on all social media at Game Marks Pod. And check out our exclusive content at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. This is it. This is the final battle. This is the final countdown. This is Game Wars.
Yeah,
We're going to determine. Let's just put it out there right now. These are the exact two games we knew were going.
Yeah, 100%. From the moment that John proposed this idea and he showed me the brackets, I went, well, it's going to be No Mercy versus Here Comes the Pain in the end. I mean, unless there is a insane underdog that's going to come and sweep this in, which, honestly, I thought Fire Pro Wrestling World could have at least made it out of round one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's on us. Maybe that's the bracket. Because it did take on Here Comes the Pain,
That's
right?
True.
So,
that's true.
I don't know. But, sorry, Def Jam Vendetta, you were close. But not close enough because this is a bad one. This is a bad one. From the start, we knew which way this would go. I guess I thought it could be worse, but it was 80-20 in the end for No Mercy, and here we are. But how cool would it have been if Def Jam actually won?
I mean, I think it would have been cool for anything other than it to be No Mercy versus Here Comes the Pain, because I think that's what everyone was expecting. For me, the second round was going to be the one that really kind of, I don't know, it was just where you would get the underdogs and maybe see. I was more interested in who was going to make it out of their bracket versus, if it was going to be Revenge, maybe moving on. Maybe it was going to be Def Jam. Like I didn't know how that was going to go. Part of me thought that Virtual Pro Wrestling may have made it to the second round. It did not. I was very surprised by that.
But now this opens a whole new world because we've been discussing other types of Game Wars we can do. Maybe we'll do best of the PS1, best of the GameCube, best of N64, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Maybe I have something special that we've been talking about planned for the end of this month, and we'll see that then. But this was just pretty cool from the start. I'm glad we saw it through, and here we are, the end of Game Wars.
I am shocked that this went by so fast. I'm very happy that we're here at the end of the first ever Game Wars. I think we'll do another one, a big one like this, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe at another time. But John, do you happen to know what happens when we hit 1,000 followers on our Twitter account? I feel like we've been talking about this.
1,000 follows. We will unlock the video game history of Mick Foley. Our favorite type of episode to do, a nice deep dive into just the video game career of Mick Foley. We've done Bret Hart, we've done The Undertaker, we've done the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, and we want to add Mick Foley to that collection. So just head on over to Twitter at GameMarksPod, and once you hit that follow button and we hit 1,000, we are unlocking that episode. But that's not all. That's not all that's happening on Twitter.
Baby.
You see this guy behind me, this Elite 92 Rey Mysterio action figure? All you have to do is go to our pinned tweet, retweet it, follow us, and you're entered to win. And next week, Monday, on the episode, you're going to find out who the winner was. And this is all thanks to our friends over at Zavvi.
Absolutely. As of recording, we are at
Marks.
866.
Yeah, and more of you listen to the show than what's left. So, let's just make it happen, all right?
Yeah.
It's free.
And like John said,
Make some burners.
like John said, use code GameMarks at Zavvi and receive 10% off. Now,
That's right.
is it time for the final round? Is it the final countdown of the final round of the first ever Game Wars?
For one last time.
Game Wars! It's the best.
Hey, George. You see this light here that says Game Over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that WrestleMania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavvi. That's us.zavvi.com, Zavvi, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavvi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh, yeah.
Zavvi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm going to redo my wardrobe.
Hello, Dylan Postel here, star of Muppets Most Wanted, Leprechaun Origins, 10 years in WWE fame, avid video gamer, and wrestling fan myself, and I just woke up to the news that in the Game Marks podcast tournament, WCW NWO Revenge has lost to Here Comes the Pain. And now I took this as some kind of joke, some kind of rib, as we say in the business. But then I realized it's not April 1st. This is real life. And now I ask, who are you? You call yourselves video game fans. You call yourselves wrestling fans. You call yourselves wrestling video game fans. And I say nay. Each and every one of you needs to burn your video game collection. Needs to burn your video game consoles. Needs to burn your video game controllers. I just survived a bacchiotomy. A surgery that most wouldn't wake up from. But obviously with your voting, you all need a surgery of some kind. And that is a brain surgery. Have a good day.
All right, well, that's Swoggle getting a little heated that that Revenge didn't go through. Just
He's got to expand his horizons.
I mean, yeah, there is an argument to be made, but I think we all kind of knew what was going to happen here.
There's no argument. The vote is the vote.
Oh no, but I mean,
also our
in his
biggest
mind,
vote
there's an
we've
argument.
had. All right. Well, whatever. But listen, we've gone through, released, published, the ratings and reviews, the features of each game. We're here pitting these two against each other in a dogfight to see who comes out the winner. Who is the king of Game Wars? Is it No Mercy? Is it Here Comes the Pain? I want you right now to make an argument for either or. Or both.
I mean, okay. The argument, I hate you. The argument for both, right out of the gate, is if you ask anyone, what are the two greatest wrestling video games ever made? It's these. People always mention. Well, listen. I will use when we started this podcast as the perfect example. The first time that we told people that we were doing this podcast, let me know when you're covering No Mercy. Let me know when you're doing Here Comes the Pain. Bear Bronson reached out to you and said, let me know when you guys are doing Here Comes the Pain. I want to be on that episode. And that's what we did. That full episode is available with Bear Bronson.
It's just Bronson now. Just Bronson.
It's just Bronson now. But then he was Bear Bronson.
Yeah.
But these are those staple games, the games that people remember. If you are, I don't know, what would you say the age range? 80s to 90s babies? Think these are the games?
Yeah, like late 80s, I would say.
Yeah, if you get into
80s,
2000s, you're probably into like the Smackdown vs. Raw, like generation of games.
Yeah.
But like these are, touted as some of the best wrestling video games ever, and I genuinely just don't. There are such amazing features about each game that it's hard to make. Like, I'm glad that we're not at the point where I have to pick the game, because if you made me do it right now, I couldn't. Because there are such amazing features about both. The roster, that like iconic gameplay style of No Mercy, but then there's so many updated features and the like different creative options within Here Comes the Pain. Like it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, okay. So, on the No Mercy side, we could say this is groundbreaking, but we know that there was a bunch of games before it that are very similar that started it all. This game did not start it all. If anything, it kind of ended it. But I think it ended it with a bang. This is prime Attitude Era, which I think made it even more popular, because the same people now that remember the Stone Colds and the Rocks and all of that stuff, like pre-Invasion, I feel like that's the cutoff, pre-Invasion. Yeah. They remember the Monday Night Wars, and this is the game that went hand in hand with it. Yeah, there was Attitude, there was Warzone, and Smackdown, a few others, but almost everybody had an N64, especially over a PS1 at the time. And this was a game that they had. Whether you were Revenge at first, you fell off and you no longer watch WCW. I was one of those kids. I was a WCW kid. I fell off one day and I just said, I'm going to watch the other brand because it's better. And that's what I did. I feel like everyone went through that, where you're walking through the hall at school, you're not seeing the Goldberg and NWO shirts anymore. It's all DX and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
So for our age range, No Mercy was it. You loved the story modes. You know what I used to do? I used to make either the kid I didn't like at school or the teacher I didn't like as creator wrestlers and just beat them senseless until they were TKO'd. I remember making Mr. Bloom. Mr. Bloom, you science teacher or whatever, social studies teacher, you were a piece of shit, and I made you in the game with your stupid sweater, and I hit you with like 97 stunners until you couldn't walk anymore, okay? Okay, Mr. Bloom? Sorry if you listen to this, which I know you don't.
So many questions.
He was an asshole.
A different podcast. He
was an asshole. So I see it. I see why No Mercy was it. The real life stories. You had all of the match modes you really wanted, except Hell in a Cell at the time. The ladder match was such a cool feature. The cage match, I feel like, while it's a little clunky, it's one of the better cage matches in any game.
Yeah.
Because it does have, it's interactive. You can throw the guy onto the cage. The way you climb up it, you have to have full health. You can't just climb up. It's a good concept. It's a great concept. Where on the other hand, we're going to talk about Here Comes the Pain now. Is it the greatest game ever because it lacked features, because it gained features? No. It's the greatest because before this, you worked your way up. We saw SmackDown from the ground up. It had a little miniature story mode or career mode season, whatever they called it, with that stupid preseason. The controls stayed the same all the way through. And now you're getting, which this is another argument. We've argued it here. I've argued it in countless groups and tweets. To me, and to a lot of people, this is the end of the SmackDown series.
Yeah.
So when you're getting SmackDown vs. Raw and SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, which was in this tournament and lost, then like there's no argument that this game is just better. This game was groundbreaking. All of the features, the season. No game had a season mode like this game. And the amount of just grapples you can do. Now, we already compared the rosters of Here Comes the Pain and No Mercy. They're only 3 years apart, but the amount of people you're getting is not much different if you count the legends and the unlockables.
You know,
like, just think about it. You're getting Randy Orton in Here Comes the Pain only 3 years after you're getting Steve Blackman in No Mercy.
Okay, fair point. That's a good argument.
Ultimo Dragon is in this game.
I was gonna say, as we were doing our playthrough that you guys can watch through on our YouTube channel, I was thinking that, you know, something, or for me, what always looks great.
Oh, Hook and Action Bronson are training at Cap on Dynamite.
I just looked up and I was just like, holy shit, is that creative?
George, it's Bob. George, you wrestled him first. George, you practiced your moves on the same guy Action Bronson did. Can we do... Oh my God, I have to edit side by side.
Oh, John, can we make a training montage like we're preparing to do commentary, but do it the same way that they're doing it right now? I'll hold your hand as you do bridges.
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God! Oh my God! Okay,
No,
back to the video
great.
games. As you were saying,
you know, while we were doing the playthrough, which is available on our YouTube channel, you guys can go watch that after this. I noticed that the moves that you hit in No Mercy, it's a different kind of feel than when you hit a move out of nowhere and Here Comes the Pain. When you catch someone with a kick in No Mercy, it's satisfying. When you catch them off guard, in our playthrough, you were Steve Blackman. When you hit that super kick, it's very satisfying. When we
the
played
gut
through...
punch?
Oh, the gut punch as well. Or when we made the Bret Hart or whoever else had that kick, that one kick that we were always like, oh my God, it's just like the head kick. It's very satisfying and you feel accomplished when you hit it because it really looks like you're doing a lot of damage. In Here Comes the Pain, when you hit a move, in our playthrough, you were Albert and you hit a axe kick on, or a pump kick on the Hurricane. I legitimately thought I just watched a video game character die. Like, I thought we were watching a storyline, and that was the storyline. Albert or A-Train had just killed the Hurricane in the ring. And I think that's kind of the main difference here, is that one is that, like, obviously both of these are nostalgia games, but one feels a little bit more realistic in how the...
100%.
How the moves are hit and how it affects the characters. And the other one is just that it feels like you're playing a video game. So it's really that mindset pretty much of where all wrestling games have gone nowadays, where it's just, this is a little bit of the blending of that realness combined with that still over the top gameplay, because not, you know, there were some times where you would hit me with a chop and I would sell it like you just, you know, gave me the knockout punch like you were the Big Show. Not every move deserves that, and I feel like in some cases Here Comes the Pain did that. But when it's applied correctly, it looks very, very damaging.
So that's the thing. When you think of games now, we have 2K22, which is a great game. And then you have Fight Forever coming out, which is going to be a game similar to No Mercy. So that's where we're at even now, if we're going to put them head to head. There are some people saying, oh, this looks stupid. It looks like Fortnite. How come this isn't in it? How come this isn't in it? Well, go play the other one then. You have a beautiful creative suite where you could literally download everyone on the Fight Forever roster. Go play that one if you want a sim. If you want mindless fun that you already pretty much know the controllers for because you've played them your whole life, go play the other one. So that's where I think these kind of veer off from each other, because No Mercy is that, I don't want to say arcadey because it's not like linear. It's like it's a little arcadey, I guess. Last time I said that on this podcast about Fire Pro, we got 10 bad reviews on Apple Podcasts, so I don't want to dive into that again.
What, when you said that 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Well, No Mercy is not a sim. It's just a fun wrestling game. It's what it should be. Is it visually appealing? Not really. There's body parts that don't attach to each other.
The argument for me is that it is visually appealing in the same way that we look at Royal Rumble for the Sega and the SNES, and we're like, this game looks good. Like, it looks good for the time. By today's standards, no. But, like, the sprites in Royal Rumble are pretty good, considering that they were, flat 2D sprites of, wrestlers. You get the likeness correct, and I think that No Mercy is successful in the same way.
Yeah. So, I mean, my point is, this is where, and here comes the pain, it starts to become full-on sim. Like, after, I'd say once you get to, like, 07, 08, it's really just becoming, this is what it looks like on TV, and you're trying to be that. And there's something a little bit lost there, if you ask me. Because that takes away some of the unrealistic features that maybe you want. Maybe you want to dive off things that you shouldn't be able to dive off of and do stupid stuff. Like right now in 2K22, you're not going to get all that. You're not going to get the falling off the Hell in a Cell, or you're not going to get the constant nut shots that China will give you in No Mercy. It's going to be strictly realistic. You're going to get disqualified if you don't break the ropes. So I think having two different types is great, and I love that these two different types are now in the finals. But it's hard to pick one.
You do kind of get them in the modern day, but the difference is the frequency in which those things are able to happen. Like, you and I played we've played a Hell in a Cell match every week for the last 3 weeks. In every match that we've had, we have fallen off the cell no less than minimum 5 times. If you're going to do something like that in 2K22, you have to have 2 finishers, you have to set them up the right way, you got to have the OG moment. Like, those things happen, but it all goes back to like what you were saying before. Are you playing the game because you want to have that realism experience where, like, I mean, in Hell in a Cell, typically people are only going off the top of the cage one time. If not, then maybe this is the where you go back and you're like, you know what? I did want to hit 1 million low blows in with China in No Mercy, or I did want to hit 16 uninterrupted sweet chin musics, or the kidney punch, or the head kick. Or you go to Here Comes the Pain, and you know what? Maybe I do want to hit a slap that sends someone flying off the cage, even though it's just a slap, but they sell it like it's the most powerful move in the entire game. It all is just a matter of what you're looking to get out of it. But let's break down now visually how these are presented. Not because I know you touched on, the characters in both games, but let's break down now the worlds, the arenas, the presentation of the ring, match graphics, because I think this is where Here Comes the Pain takes a big lead.
Okay. Well, again, we could point out N64. All right, so I want to, before even that, N64 is one of the greatest consoles of all time. We all say it, we all know it, we all agree upon it. But now, there's got to be something to the fact that all the games on it were so simple, like simpler, and because you couldn't do as much on the console as, say, a disc, because they are still cartridges in a disc era. So is that something that the games are simpler and they were more fun? I think that when they get more complicated, maybe it's like, eh?
I think it also has something to do with how the consoles themselves were marketed, because I think Nintendo is going more, and always has traditionally gone for more of that, what's it called? Family friendly, geared more towards kids, whereas PlayStation was geared more towards like teenagers and, maybe people who are a little bit more older, or, And I think that that's kind of where the loss happens, and why maybe it's not the fairest of comparisons, because like I get what you're saying and I totally understand it, but in my head, this game could have been whatever it wanted to be, and THQ and AKI could have made the most insanely, violent, realistic game ever. But if Nintendo said this is too much, you got to tone it back, they kind of had to do that. Whereas I feel like Sony gave a little bit more freedom. I mean, that's definitely showed in terms of like, you're getting bra and panties matches, and what is it? What's the fantasy one that's in Smackdown? Fulfill Your Fantasy?
Fulfill Your Fantasy, yeah.
That there was a little bit more of an adult or teen, PG-13 audience for the PlayStation 2. And, I don't know. It's an interesting comparison.
I did play the Switch, I have to mention, for the first time ever, like 2 days ago. It was with a 5-year-old, and he handed me the controller, which he split in half, and I was like, whoa, you could do that. And we played Mario Kart. First, he asked if I wanted to do a Grand Prix, and I laughed for a good amount of time. And then he asked if we want to go head-to-head and do Reganades, not Renegades, Reganades mode, and I said, yes, I do want to do that.
That's fantastic.
My controller would not turn right. The joystick just wouldn't go right for whatever reason, and that's the controller obviously he gave me. So I got my ass kicked by a 5-year-old. But it was fun. Not something I would play on my own, but it was a good time for a little bit with a little cousin. So that was that was fun. Back to Game Wars here. Okay, where were we going before I interrupted you? Visually, the graphics, the art style, blah, blah, blah. Start us off.
So, presentation-wise, I think Here Comes the Pain does a better version of immersion. Why can't I say that word? Does a better job of immersion in the match sense of once you're in the ring. I think that No Mercy has better presentation coming to the ring, being that you're actually seeing the entrances and stuff like that.
Yes.
We've talked about that a lot. I think, again, cartridge versus this, the quality of the video, the quality of the audio is definitely going to be superior on the PlayStation. But that's not saying that the music and the visuals don't have a special place in my heart for No Mercy. I think
absolutely.
I think it's great. I think the arena effects that, sampled down bitrate that they did for the audio tracks works well.
Yeah, they totally did that on purpose.
Yeah. They definitely did. They definitely cut out sections of music to make the sample size smaller and stuff. Yeah, it's all intentional.
We won't get into DX's music.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Who? It's the remix, John. It's just the remix.
No, it's not Run DMC.
And then we talked about it last time. We got to talk about it again here. The menus. The menus for No Mercy, you brought it up. Not great. A lot of texture repeating, a lot of tile textures that are low quality. The lineup for the that chain link fence that they use on the menu, and then they duplicate that same texture to be the texture in the cage. It leaves a little bit to be desired. Whereas in Here Comes the Pain, it's pretty great. All the presentations for the menus are great. You've got like little animations of the wrestlers in the background.
Since the first Smackdown. Honestly.
Oh, yeah. But I don't necessarily know. You know where they kind of even out for me? The crowd.
The crowd is in any game, sports games, wrestling games. It's just so hard to make it good because it's so many people you have to render out. So it's easy to make 3 or 4 and just make it happen, you know? Like, just repeat them.
You know what I'm going to say right now? Maybe the strangest... Wow, I can't believe I'm about to say this. You know what actually might be the best crowd in a video game?
Uh-oh.
The Thunderdome.
I was thinking it as you were talking. I'm like, I wish they could do like a realistic crowd or like just the Thunderdome over and over.
They did it in 2K22.
It's so cool.
Fans submitted video. There's some of the devs in there, and you were in the Thunderdome. And the Thunderdome in 2K22 looks identical
It's pretty cool.
to how it did on television during the pandemic.
So, okay, that brings me to the realistic parts of Here Comes the Pain, because I feel like when you got to... Where did it get realistic? I would say Just Bring It started the really realistic parts. You're getting entrances. It looks a little more like you're watching TV. It was so cool to see the new features and to see the entrances, the new matches, the cages, the Hell in a Cell, like you just said, the Thunderdome, where if you're not really adding anything new, the whole realistic part kind of gets lost on me. Where if you're going from World Tour all the way up to No Mercy, there's something added in every game that you could get excited about.
Oh, I have to correct myself, John.
Oh.
I got my Smackdown games confused.
What'd you say?
I said that the entrances weren't great in Here Comes the Pain. The entrances are fantastic in Here Comes the Pain. They're not great in Just Bring It, which is
that where they cut in each one, right?
So this...
Like each segment?
Yes. So Smackdown 2 is where they're walking by, they're just walking in front of their entrance video. Now, in Here Comes the Pain, it's the more realistic entrance style, but there's that weird loading segment that happens in between. Yeah. It's like
it makes
on the stage, down the ramp, getting in the ring, in the ring. It's better than it was, but I still think that No Mercy takes it here, even though we're not getting the full entrance.
Well, I don't like the entrances, so obviously I go No Mercy. That opened up some weird points, because if a guy does a pose, Shawn Michaels does the pose in the ring, he comes out and dances, right? Now instead he's just doing a pose at the end of the ramp, and you're like, okay, that's not that cool.
Yeah.
Or like, say, X-Pac, you're not getting the suck it with the pyro going behind him.
I was going to say, or Taker, but...
Or Kane, you're getting it now as a cutscene after the match, which is still cool, but it
makes more sense if
it's not authentic. That always kind of bothered me. There's a lot in No Mercy that bothers you, but I feel like now, rather than when I played it at the time, because I know these Sims.
Yeah. You know that there's so many things... It's like the curse of knowledge. You now know what's come beyond, like past it, and all the things that have been pointed out over the years that they've done wrong. And now it's just like, well, now this is all I think about. But still, time and time again, go back and play it.
I mean, I'll give No Mercy a lot of credit for making the arenas look 1,000,000 times better than they ever have looked in any other game. Because in WrestleMania 2000, everything looked like, I don't know, like the Armory from Impact. Or like, just a very small arena. They did a good job of, even if it's just like a black gradient that just fades out in the crowd, they did a good job of just making it look bigger and look like an actual arena, I guess, blacking out behind the stage and all that. So that's cool. I like it. Here Comes the Pains are just flawless. They're just super cool. You get every pay-per-view. You get the big drip of bad blood. All of them. They're all there. The big Smackdown fist. Again, we've brought this up now twice on the previous episodes. If Backlash happened on the N64, the next No Mercy, would we get the fist? Would we get the new Raw set? I would have loved to have seen what that would have looked like on an N64.
Yeah.
The renders in general of what the characters would have looked like, I would have loved to see just something.
So, okay. Here's what I think that we should do. I think we should take a little card out of the playbook of the ratings and reviews that we read every week. I'm going to name a section, and you're going to give it to either Smackdown or to either Here Comes the Pain or No Mercy.
Okay. I like this.
We're gonna say that it's a wash on audio and video presentation and the crowd, because they're bad in both.
Okay.
Or not that it's bad in both. It's the crowds are bad in both, and you can't compare the audio quality of a disc to a cartridge. I feel like that's grossly unfair.
Well, if you ask, I would give No Mercy the crowd because I love the signs and everything. But
I think the signs are what make the crowd. There are signs in Here Comes the Pain, but I don't know. It's just a different type of signage there. Okay. Let's say roster.
Ooh. Oh man, I love both these rosters, but I'm going to go No Mercy.
Okay.
What about
Now-
you? You have to say yours too. After.
Okay. So for roster, I'm going to go No Mercy.
Okay.
What about cover?
Here Comes the Pain, 100%.
Here Comes the Pain. I agree with you.
Yeah. A lot of N64 covers sucked. Maybe they were using Photoshop Elements 1.
I liked Revenge. I know it's a weird cover, but it didn't feel as.
No, I mean, come on, we got Tori Wilson, bro.
I mean, it's a great
the
cover.
back
Through and through.
cover, if with Ray, his first WWE game, it looks insane.
The contract signing between Taker and Brock, it's
Yeah.
great. Everything about it is amazing. How about the HUD?
No Mercy. No Mercy's got to take that. It's just easy to use. It's easy to find your way around and know if you're doing good or not, and you know when you got a special. It's telling you blink, 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 special, motherfucker.
I'm there due to size and, like you said, the simplicity of it's a very easy scale to follow.
Okay, now imagine this: the No Mercy HUD with the body meter of Here Comes the Pain.
I mean,
That'd be great.
you've described Fight Forever.
Okay, then okay.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the that's the style of the HUD that we saw. Now, I'm trying to think.
Match types.
I was gonna say either match types or move list. I think, in my opinion, both go to Here Comes the Pain.
It's easy to say Here Comes the Pain for match types because it's got the Hell in a Cell and a few others, but I don't think I've ever been bored with No Mercy and the match types and just going through them. And even like when you get to the story mode, I know there's some stories in real life that involve a table match, but they're actually, in the story, they modified to say, put them through the announce table.
Yeah.
So there's some cool stuff there. I'm going to give it to No Mercy there. I enjoy that way better. What was the other one you said?
Move list.
Okay, so I'm going to give that one to Here Comes the Pain because No Mercy gets so repetitive. And if you're anywhere under 199 pounds, your whole moveset is drop kicks and pins.
And obviously, if you make a created character, you can give anyone anything. But like,
As George does.
all of the cruiserweights, every other move is like a schoolboy, a hurricane rana. What's the one where you jump on their shoulders from the back grapple and is it victory roll?
Yeah.
Like everything is a pin. Every single thing is a pin. I'm trying to think what's next here. What else do we compare? You know what? Console.
You're going to do that to me?
Arguably probably our favorite console versus one of, if not the highest selling console of all time.
Oh, man, you're really going to do this to me. I'm going to go Here Comes the Pain here in PS2 because we played PS2 for years on years. I probably had about 50 PS2 games where N64, I still got them. They all fit in that little cartridge slot. All I played was this, Revenge, Pokemon Snap, Supercross, and like Tony Hawk 1. I didn't play much. I think
Pokemon
Rugrats
Snap
in Paris
such an underrated game.
Pokemon Stadium, Rugrats in Paris might be in there. I don't know.
John, that's got to be an OMG. We got to play Pokemon Stadium versus each other. That'd be
I was so bad. You will destroy me in it, but I'm so down to play it. Yeah, you got to go with the PS2 here. Just think, okay, we're going N64 right here with No Mercy, where 3 years later, you're now on a console that has Here Comes the Pain and goes all the way up to Modern Warfare and all of those.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think... I don't think that the console has a say in which game is going to win, but I just wanted to have that discussion. Which is the better sequel? Is No Mercy a better sequel to WrestleMania 2000, or is Here Comes the Pain a better sequel to Shut Your Mouth?
I'm going to go with Here Comes the Pain because you don't hear Shut Your Mouth in almost any argument, in almost anyone saying anything about the Smackdown series. It's a great game, and I feel like it's always underrated and just not spoken of.
Now, see, I'm making that same kind of argument for No Mercy. People seem to only really talk about Revenge or No Mercy. You don't hear a lot of people talk about WrestleMania 2000. I think
it's that in between game.
I think it might be a stalemate for that one because of the same reason.
All right. That was good though. I'm glad we did that. We're looking here at the reviews. We've read them already week after week, but I just want to make a few points here. The highest rated over here is IGN with a 9 out of 10, N64 Magazine with a 92, and Game Informer with a 9.5 out of 10 for No Mercy with a Metacritic score of 89. Where on the other side, the highest here is Eurogamer with a 9 out of 10, GameSpot with a 9 out of 10, GameZone with a 9.2, IGN with a 9.1, Metacritic with only an 85 out of 100. So, similar. Very similar. Metacritic's a aggregator, so that's a lot of ratings coming into one. So really, No Mercy kind of edges that one out there.
Ooh. Who had the better...
Ooh. Who had the better creator-wrestler?
Oh, that's got to be Here Comes the Pain, because you had so many options for creating stuff.
Okay, there's my argument. No Mercy, you could create someone in 10, 15 minutes.
That's a personal preference, though. I like an in-depth creator-wrestler.
I know, it just takes so long, and then that's just going to go on and on to create an entrance, create this, create that, where it takes you like hours upon hours to create a wrestler, where No Mercy, you're like, well, this kind of looks like AJ Styles. He's got a few drop kicks and a makeshift Styles Clash. It's AJ Styles. You're ready to go.
That's true. I mean, the simplicity and the...
but the stuff was there.
It was, I mean, everything that was there that you needed to make the character that you were looking to make. So it's not like you were like, well, if you squint your eyes, it kind of looks like AJ Styles. Like if you watch GMP 64, John has AJ Styles on his roster. He looks like AJ Styles.
It's a little squint. But
I mean, it's as close as you're going. It is N64 AJ Styles without hacking the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We've played those as well.
Who has the better ladder match?
Oh.
Both are intense.
Yeah.
Both are challenging.
This might be the one sense where No Mercy has something more realistic over Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah. See, that's what I was going to say about Here Comes the Pain. That's where you kind of get a little bit like fantastical in a sense, where you got to kind of suspend disbelief here. You're like, oh, we're stacking tables, and you know we're gonna have 6 ladders in the ring, and I mean, it is kind of realistic though, because that was the style for all the TLC matches. A lot of ladders, stacked tables.
Yeah, I'm going to go No Mercy there. But okay. George.
You're going first this week.
Okay, but you're not going to give me no BS. I can't pick. So right now for us and for literally everyone else, it's time to vote on Game Wars.
So
And rate
no
the game.
ties? No ties?
The game!
No, because the vote is going to go up on Twitter. We're going to pin it, and you're going to have to pick one, George. You're going to have to vote on one. You only have one Twitter account that you access once a month, so you're going to have to pick one.
Start us off, John. It's the finals of Game Wars. It is WWF No Mercy versus WWE Smackdown. Here comes the pain. Which one are you voting?
I have to go with No Mercy. The amount of time I've played it, the skill level I compete at it, if that is a word, because we've discussed this already. I feel like it's the top game for both of us that we could just play, and I will put my No Mercy skill up against anyone else's.
I would play it like if there was a tournament and like it was like you and a friend can join this tournament and you could win money. I am looking to play in it and I need you as my partner. Like 100%. There is no game that I am more confident that you and I could win a tournament with than No Mercy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same. But I'm easily going to go No Mercy over Here Comes the Pain. It's not only nostalgia, but we still play it. I'm very rarely going to pop it in and play it again. I will once in a while to say, oh, that was fun. But No Mercy's the game. It always will be the game. What say you?
I got a surprise for you, John.
You're going Here Comes the Pain.
I made my decision last week. Do you remember what I said last week?
Nope.
Do you remember my little wrap up on why I advanced No Mercy?
Nope. Tell me again.
All right.
For those at home who weren't paying attention.
It is the one game that I have consistently played for 20 years.
Okay.
I have never gotten sick of it. There are things about it that I wish were different. There are things about it that I wish were changed. I very much wish that we got Backlash as a sequel. I think that would have been great.
Yeah.
But I have consistently played it as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, and now as a grown-ass man with a 9-to-5 job and a podcast with my friend John, that I now play this game monthly for a show. A year ago, we had a television show that we made for our YouTube channel where we had to play it every single week, and we just played it even more for this tournament. And if you asked me right now, when we're done with this podcast, if I wanted to go and play some more of it, I would tell you yes immediately. No questions asked.
We're probably going to do that anyway, but
I mean, my decision was made up when I was making those points last week. I was just like, oh no. I kind of thought that I was going to go No Mercy, but hearing myself say these things is just kind of really driving it home.
okay. I like it. I like it a lot. But now it is time for you to vote. Head on over to Game Marks Pod on Twitter and cast your vote, and let's create a winner here. But George,
I cannot wait to see what's going to happen.
Are you now ready for the soft lock?
Oh, baby. Let's go. All right. So the soft lock is a weekly segment where one of our Patreon subscribers gives us a topic to debate. And we debate that topic, discuss that topic, answer that question. And this week, it comes from James Batchelder, better known to the community as the Elder Spork or Best Batch Promotions. There's your free plug, Spork. We love you. And Spork's question is there a linear path game you would like to see remade as an open world game? And as soon as I read this question, there was only one game that came to mind, and I'm sure that you immediately know what I'm going to say. Read my mind, John.
Let us know. I don't know, honestly, what you're going to say.
The Force Unleashed.
You consider that linear?
Yeah, there's...
I mean, I was thinking more like I'm a Mario for the NES.
Well... I don't know. Is Force Awakens considered open world? Or the Force Unleashed?
I guess. Yeah, I guess, because it's like point A to point B, right? You can't just go cruise around.
Yeah, like, so to me, I know that there's like an official definition of what open world means, and I very much could just Google it and tell you right now. But for me, open world means you start at a single point, and if you wanted to venture into the zone of the end game and get your ass absolutely handed to you right from the get-go, you could wander over there and do it. Probably not advised, because you would probably lose immediately, but you can explore the entirety of the world right from the get-go. And while in The Force Unleashed, the sections are vast, and the maps can have very spacious areas where there is a lot to explore in terms of, like, you can find unlockables and stuff. It is kind of a linear playthrough in certain sections where it's just like, you're now fighting through this, Star Destroyer. You have to just walk along this rail and go from this point to this point and fight bad guys along the way.
Okay.
What about you?
So I read it differently. I didn't really go by the definition of linear. I was thinking, rather than point A to point B, like a side scroller. So I immediately thought of Trek to Yomi, where it is a linear game, but it also happens to be a side scroller. I thought that would be really cool as an open world concept, because it's just, you're going left, you're going right, and you have to do certain things to get to the next part. So that was one. The other one was an open world TMNT game. Like what's it called? Turtles in Time, but imagine it's like Arkham, where it's dark, it's New York City.
I was just going to say, like an Arkham TMNT game.
You're running through the city. I know there was a TMNT game for GameCube. I had it. It was actually a lot of fun. But it's just not what I'm thinking about here.
Ooh. Did you ever play Contra as a kid?
Yeah, a little bit. Not
so I was a big
crazy.
Contra kid. It was like one of the first games I ever played.
Yeah.
And I think there was a game that came out last year, I want to say, or maybe it's announced to come out soon. Contra Returns, I think, is either coming out or it came out. It was like a mobile version, I believe. I would like an open world Contra game. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Really, it's kind of endless here, what we could say.
Yeah.
It's your personal preference. I think GTA 3 is really considered a linear game if you think about it. It goes
You
along
think that
those
could be an
lines.
open world wrestling game?
We're kind of getting that in WrestleQuest. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what I was
It's not
thinking.
really
I
open
was
world.
just
It's
like,
more of just an RPG. But
it's an RPG.
yeah.
Give
Hey, either way.
give me SmackDown Here Comes the Pain style backstage segments where you can like walk around, but make it where I can leave the arena and like be in New York City and walk around, or I could be in outside the
gym.
arenas and like walk through. What'd you say?
Go to the gym.
Yeah, and like
Go sleep in your car at night.
it's a full on wrestling sim and also open world game.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Remember, guys, if you want to submit your own softlock question, head on over to patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Sign up today, and we could ask your question live on air. But, George, with that, are you ready for the gaming news?
Let's go.
Spotlight, your gaming news sponsored by WrestleChamps new for the iOS and Android, Cyberpunk 2077. Okay. CD Projekt Red has confirmed that the Phantom Liberty expansion will only be coming to the PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, and Stadia, which means it will not be on the previous gen consoles. No PS4, no Xbox One.
So after you're focusing on current gen, eh?
After your pain and suffering that CD Projekt Red put you through when you bought this game on a PS4 or Xbox, sorry about your damn luck. Okay, The Sims 4 base game is being made available for free starting on October 18th. Now, if you are a Xbox subscriber like I am, I actually have that on my Xbox app, and I plan on diving into it because Sims are fun. PlayStation Exclusives Quest. I said that really weird. The PlayStation Exclusive Quest. Say that 5 times fast.
I would say it's a tongue twister.
For Hogwarts Legacy was revealed during the PlayStation State of Play. Now, it's going to take a full year for it to be released on PlayStation. And I don't know. Like, is that a hint that this game's going to have that longevity that we want and constant replay and open world and you could just do whatever you want? I don't know. Is it going to be playable?
I want to like this game so much. I want it to be great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll like this. Capcom has confirmed that Resident Evil 2, 3, 7, and Village are all headed to the Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
Now, here's the one I want to talk about because there is so much here to unpack. Nintendo 64's GoldenEye is coming to the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Online. Here's the thing. It's only available for the Switch Online. So this is an exact emulation of the N64 version. Okay. Now, Xbox Game Pass is also getting a GoldenEye, but they're saying it's 4K resolution, smoother textures. It is not going to be the N64 version of the game. No online either. Now, here's the third thing. There was an Xbox 360 remaster of GoldenEye that was created by the original people who made GoldenEye that has never seen the light of day. Now, this was on 360. It was just brought to light last year, 2021. That is still nowhere to be found. Everyone knows it exists. It's nowhere to be found. So there are 3 versions of GoldenEye out there. The authentic one, whatever remastered one, and then the remastered one that's supposed to play like Halo, where when you flip a switch, press a button, it shows, oh, George, your shirt you made's on TV. Where you flip a switch.
What?
It goes from the old skin to the new skin.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Neeson, Josh Woods are wearing your shirt. So that's the GoldenEye weirdness that's happening, whichever one you prefer to play, which most people would go with the Switch. I personally don't like GoldenEye, so I will not be getting either. I'll stick to Nightfire and use those words against me.
I was just going to say, when all of this was done, that was going to be the next thing I asked. I was like, John, let everyone know your hot take on GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah. I don't like it. Not for me. Was never good at it. Never owned it. Don't want it. But your game's releasing this week. Go on. What?
I went back and I tried to play it a couple of months ago, and it's hard.
Rough.
It's hard, yeah.
It's very hard.
You want there to be certain features and certain capabilities of the game, and they're just not there.
No. But okay, your game's releasing this week. On the 19th, you're getting Return to Monkey Island. On the 20th, Construction Simulator. See, I got House Flipper Simulator. If I'm not doing that for real enough.
Be on the lookout for John's new podcast, the Simulator Mark Podcast.
I kind of do want to try Construction Simulator. Hardspace Shipbreaker. And that's ship with a P. And Solstice. Now, on the 22nd, you're getting the Diofield Chronicle, Gundam Evolution. Oh, they're still making those, huh? Potion Permit, Serial Cleaners, Session Skate Sim, which looked pretty cool, Slime Rancher 2, Train Life, a Railway Simulator, and on the 23rd, DreamWorks Dragon's Legend of the Nine Realms.
Damn. Yeah. A lot of stuff coming out.
A lot of stuff this week.
All right, guys, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for the weekly playthrough for this game and the entire playthrough of Game Wars and every other game that we have played. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod. John, what do we got going on Patreon?
All right, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. This week, you are getting Clash and Burn, which is my vlog of Create a Pro Wrestling's Wildlife. Last Tuesday, we gave you OMG Fortnite no build duos. Whatever could have gone wrong went wrong. Not even with our abilities in the game. It was the actual game itself crashing for both of us. It was a huge mess. Just remember, guys, ad-free shows every Friday with the show notes, and you could submit your soft lock questions by Thursday afternoon. And listen, other perks, we got 8x10s in the works that our Mega Marks are getting very soon, and I sent you the picture of what they are. They're going to be...
I love it.
Pretty damn cool. They're not like anything we've done yet, and it's going to feature someone that's super hot right now on the wrestling scene. Wednesday, September 28th.
I was in the PWI 500, John. It was
Sure. GMP 64 War Zone. This is our Royal Rumble. We are on the road to GMP Mania, and this is the last stop.
Oh, man. Cannot wait. Love these GMP 64 pay-per-views. And hey, all the issues that we've been having will be fixed. You have my word. John, would you like me to tell you what we're playing next week on the podcast?
That's right. We are back to playing a game. This is crazy. What are we doing? What are we playing?
I mean, we're coming off the heels of Game Wars. We got to do something big. Might as well just, a little game called Retromania Wrestling. Might as well just play that one, right?
Ooh, it has been a minute. I'm ready to deep dive into that game.
I have not played this game in a few months, but I remember when this game came out, and it was all the buzz because some familiar faces are in it, John. Some very familiar, like our bosses are kind of in this game. I don't know.
Them our bosses. I'm your boss. Anyway.
So when did that happen? All right. Well, is that it? Are we done with Game Wars?
Yeah, I need a nap or something.
All right.
A lollipop. I don't know.
GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. Guys, there are so many new shirts available on our Pro Wrestling Tees store. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod. You just heard John list off all the great stuff that we got going on Patreon. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod. A lot of exclusive content on there. At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. Please make sure to go and follow us on Twitter so we can do that video game history of Mick Foley. Also, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave a 5-star rating on both Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And if you have a product or service you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. We did it, John. An entire month of Game Wars.
I honestly don't know who's going to win.
I'm very, very.
But for one of them, game over. Marks.
Game over Game Wars, too, right? Yeah.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.